Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Shh. Hear that? Big waves are calling. Dive into refreshment with Kona Big Wave. Tropical flavor and the taste of aloha in every drop. So crack one open and let the great taste roll in. Kona Big Wave, Liquid Aloha. Copyright 2025 Kona Brewing Co., St. Louis, Missouri. Mahalo for enjoying responsibly.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero, as I am every week here on the Tour Coach podcast. If you've been listening for a while or you've recently started listening, you probably know that, or if you're new, this is really for you, but these are the stories and the conversations and the chats with the people that I meet in my journey in golf, coaching, teaching, playing golf. These are the fitness instructors, the mental coaches, the performance coaches, the other teachers, the players, and the people that I run into day to day teaching and coaching that I think shed interesting perspectives, have great views, and information that can help all of you that love the game of golf play better, coach better, teach better, practice better. It's all in an effort to give you the best information. So hopefully you like these conversations here on the Tour Coach. We appreciate all of you listening and watching. And more importantly, or equally as important, we appreciate our sponsors, Mitch McConnell and Buick GMC, Blaine Stokely, Stokely's Midtown Garden Center, Taylor Martino and Rowan. And none of this would be possible without the folks at Shrixon Golf and Vineyard Vines and Bushnell. They've been with us forever. We're going to be with you, helping you play the game of golf better. Enjoy the Tour Coach podcast. Go find us on YouTube, Do Sweeper TV. Follow us, like us, comment. All right, so we're live and we're recording. This is a new edition of the Tour Coach. Joining me here is Jackson Court, who's off and on here with me, and then my good friend, and to me, this is one of the cool ones that we get to do because he's a legend in the instruction business. Long before I had the opportunity to meet him down at Doral, I admired all the work he did, and I can remember all those old Golf Digest covers with you and Phil and all the people on it, but teaching legend, Hall of Famer now since the last time I had you on, Rick Smith. And before we even get into the golf, you're sitting in a place I would love to be, down in the Keys. Everybody that listens to this knows how much I love the Keys. And there's tarpon right off your dock. I mean, how good is this?
Buddy, in about 15 minutes, if we don't wrap it up, I'm going to go get bait, and we're going to catch one live.
Catch us a live tarpon. Look, we were talking before we got on air. Jackson, you hadn't gotten on yet, but we were talking about how the business has changed, right? Okay. And how it's different getting in the business as a young person now. Rick, talk a little bit about how did you get started in this business, and how have you seen it change over the years? And then the last question is, and do you think all the changes that are gone on are necessarily better for the player?
Okay. Well, to start in order, I started a long time ago, and it obviously I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 67 in October. so far I've had a lot of different decades of different things that happen, and it's been an interesting time in my life now, because yes, there's all this technology now, but back then, Rocco and I were laughing the other day. I remember 1979, 1980, 1981, 2, 3, when I was playing, I made a portable cart thing that you could put a TV and a DC adapter into your VCR that was this big, and I had my camera and I had magic markers and a ruler and a towel. So I was looking at shaft planes, I was looking at spine angles, I was looking at things that I'll never forget. Given a lot of lessons when a guy said back then, he goes, "I'm coming over," and I go, "No, you aren't here." And you could see the shaft plane and the club coming under, and he's flipping it over. I said, "No, you're coming over the bottom, pal." I go, "You're flipping it from the underneath." And they're going, "How do you know that?" I go, "Look at this video." So I had it was a VCR with giant tape, and that's how it started. And then that is all we had. The other thing I had, I'll never forget, even when I was younger than that, going to the Ryder Cup, Jack Nicklaus leaves the tee, and I'm looking at his footprints, and I'm seeing this deep, and I'm going, this is not a light-footed game. There's pressure. There's something going on here. So we didn't have pressure plates in 1977, but you could see the ground destroyed by every good player. Every good player. And so that was interesting. And then you talk to the great ones like Jack Nicklaus, and you talk to, and you would talk to them about feels. No different than Jack Nicklaus saying, I never really thought about my hips ever. He said I knew where the club was all the time, but when I wanted to draw it, I loaded into my glute, into my right heel, and I'd go to the ball of my left foot. George Knudson said it. Hogan said it. He goes, when I want to hit a fade, I go to the middle of my right foot going back, and I go to the left heel. See, so now you can measure all this stuff, but this stuff, I was around all this, a long time ago, and you learn that you look at the ground that they're standing on, and you talk to them about the feels that they have. You can certainly see things, but the video back then with rulers and magic markers were fine for me. It's like I had enough information back then to help someone. And those were good years. The 90s, Lee Jansen wins a couple opens that decade. Rocco's winning, Billy Andrade and other guys. And then it was Phil Mickelson in the late 80s or late 90s. And then we got a whole different decade in 2000. Phil wins 3 majors. We had great success then. And now you move to the next decade, and I'm going, oh, my God, it's 2024. Here we go again. Jonathan Vegas. But, you've got to be careful when you use technology. No different than you and I just talking about. Even Doral, when Steely came in, I didn't use a quad. I didn't use anything. I didn't use my 3D gears, which I love. I use that stuff for the great players in off season. And I know you do too. I think there's a time and place for it. And then even videos, sometimes I don't even want them to look at it because they're going to look at something I don't want them to look at. So it's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Because they get picky about things that really they don't have to be picky about. And they start putting their mind in the wrong place. So time and place for everything. No different than there's a time to get the hell out of the way and let the player be a player. And you know me, I'm in and I'm out. If I hadn't done my job, and ultimately, really, Tony, I think, and you do a good job of it too, is if we've done our job as a teacher, we're teaching them to teach themselves anyway. And I'm not going to hold their hand ever, because it's a mistake. I was a player. I don't want somebody in my ear every 5 seconds. Let me go. Let me be who I am. Give me the direction. If I have a question, I'll let you know. But I got it. I got it, and I'm going to go ahead and work through it. Every great player that I've worked with would always say that to me. They'd say, "I'm going to go think about what you just said, and I'm going to process it, think about it, and then I'm going to put it into play."
want to talk about, you've been around a lot of great players, talking about some of the greatest that have ever played the game, especially Jack, right? Arguably 1A. And then you got Phil would be he'd be in my top 5 for sure. Like,
Yeah.
what are some, obviously, different golf swings, but do you ever sit and go like, these are similarities between great players I've been around? Like, what are some things they do that they have in common? Because I think, like, for me, I love picking like your brain, because like I know the things I've learned from the great players, but I like to find out more what great players do. Because, like, to me, I feel like I had a young player in Alabama this evening, good high school player, and like, the more I can share what they do, I can figure out these great players. I got a chance to make a real difference on a young kid that's maybe 16 or 17 if we can figure out earlier. What were some of the things you saw that were commonalities, if any?
Well, one thing I'll never forget, Raymond Floyd, who I had a chance to work with back in the day, he was now a senior, unbelievable, would win on both tours. He was in a slump. And I said to him simply, I go, look, you've done this before at a great level. What was the best you ever played? So I then would study that swing. For example, he said, the best I played Shinnecock. So I go, well, let's go into the Shinnecock films. And I would study the Shinnecock films. It was like cheating. I'm looking at what he's doing, and I'd look and I'd do a side by side, and I go, look, he would always work the club way inside. He'd lift it up vertically like he always did, and then he'd get it back down on plane. Well, back then, he got it deep early. He went up, but not really vertically, because then if he was too vertical, he dropped it on the inside too much, and he drop kicked it, he blocked it or hooked it. And I go, Raymond, we got to tighten this plane up here so that we can get more on top of it. And I go, look at the 2 videos, and I gave him a heavy club to keep him from lifting up. And Raymond goes, I got it, and he goes and wins the next week, So I guess my point is everybody's different. Everybody's got a different feel. With Phil, I never really ever tried to get him wide like it looks like he should be, because he got narrower because he didn't have a huge lateral. He had a lot of lower lateral with a lot of back side bend stuff. And so what I do is I'd let him get narrow here, and then I'd let him widen on the way down, because I knew that if I got him wide was going narrow, and too narrow, he's already narrow enough. So let him feel wider down. So I just kept finding that everybody had their own issues. Right now, commonalities, we could talk for hours about commonalities, but everybody had an issue, and it even stemmed from going back when they were younger. I think about Lee Jansen. Lee Jansen, he would slide to his target, he'd side bend, he'd extend down the target line, and he'd flip it over, right? So I'd go, Lee, you got to understand your fundamentals of arc, and no different than now with Jonathan Vegas. I went to, when he came to me 4 or 5 months ago, I go, do you understand the arc? And do you understand that you're standing beside the ball? There's nothing linear here. There's nothing straight back, straight through. And he had gotten a little bit off by losing concepts and images of what he really needed to do from chipping to full swing. And it was more of what was in his head rather than anything else. And you and I both know that there's pitfalls to everything, right? So knowing the pitfall before it happens is so critical too. And I think good teaching, if you go down this road, and here's my part of my story with Raymond Floyd. I said, Raymond, we're striping it. I want to teach my guys, all 10 of these guys here at Tiburon. We were at the Ritz at the time. And I said, let's do a fundamental lesson. And he goes, I'm with you. I go, no, but you really got to go with me on this. So I stick a shaft plane.
That's when you're like, he's not going to really like it once you start, right?
Well, like within 5 minutes, it could get really ugly. Okay, so here's Raymond that went in early, turned, and then he kind of paused, and then he'd work it back down. I go, Raymond, my teachers back here think that you got to get to a perfect place in the takeaway. I said, I want you to teach all my guys what you're going to do when you go hands in, club out. You're hitting shaft plane, the club's here, and then you're going to go ahead and hit it. He goes, I'm in, Rick. I'm going to try it. Let me try it. So I set up the shaft station and I go, Raymond, just go with me. Just pretend you're coming here and your fundamentals are off. So he goes, hands in, club out, clicks it. I go, okay, you got that feel? He goes, yeah, I'm going to hit it. He goes up. He's lost. He comes down, slides, hits about a foot behind it. And he goes, that was awful. And then I go to the, and I go to the teachers and I go, guys, all right, great job here, right? It's on plane, but guess what? The rest went to hell. He lifted up. He forgot to turn because when he goes hands in, club out, he wasn't turning. When he whipped it in a little bit, body was turned. He was in good spot, but his whole timing elements were related to his takeaway. So I changed that, and I was just making a point to the guys. Not everybody's the same. And Lee Trevino would tell you the same thing with his strong grip, aiming left. Everything was left, and the ball never went left. So the whole theory is it's like what method, what style works good for you, finding out what that is, and then sticking with it and not deviating it. Some of the teachers, great players, they drift away from their original guy and they're lost. They are lost. And one thing that I think when you earn the respect from a player, you went through all that stuff already. You found out what didn't work. You experimented with the guy. He wanted to experiment. And you found out what didn't work, especially the young guys you get that you know are going to be really good players. But you also learn from that experience. And I think it's, leave your ego at the door, but go in there with a plan of something that you think is going to help them and work with what you're seeing. Watch the ball flight.
Hello?
Get off the computer. Get off the TrackMan. Look, I've seen perfect zeroed out numbers, and it's the worst looking golf swing, and it's ineffective with a lot of players, especially at impact. Okay, there's 0-0 face. Post impact, extended, flipped over here. It looks awful. They don't hit it good. So I think you use your eyes, use the ball, learn that way. And then when you have technology, great. It just reinforces what the heck you're doing.
I'm curious if through the time, how the equipment has changed maybe what you've seen with players' motions.
Well, and I think what's important to realize, Tony, I was just saying back when I played, we dreamed of the equipment that you have now to be able to interchange any shaft with any head, to be able to adjust the weight and everything else. I mean, we used to go through a bag of drivers just to find the right one. We had a stock shaft. I mean, this is even before graphite. So, I mean, I'm not back in the gutta percha or hickory days, but I can tell you it sure felt like it. But it's easy. It's easier. It's easier to hit a fairway. It's the ball goes forever. I mean, I'm maybe longer now than I was when I played at my peak. I mean, it's insane. And I think about it because now I can get a shaft that works with my swing. I can get it to load and unload the right way just by testing. I love testing the equipment. I love the ability to use technology and see the differences. Gosh, we used to go out and take different golf balls and we just go out on the course and hit them and circle them. So we knew, hey, which driver, number one, driver two, driver three. I mean, it was just so old fashioned. And so I think that's accelerated the learning curve now. And, obviously launch and spin, big issues, spin axis. I mean, those things measured for equipment are important. I think it's influencing higher launches, though, and more side bend. I'm a little concerned when you look at a Sam Snead swing, which still is one of my favorite all-time swings of all time. And you look at some of these kids with extreme side bend, I question their longevity, and I say it as kindly as I can, but it's so much excessive side bend because they're looking to get the thing launched. They know it's going to knuckle, which is the equation for distance. But there's a lot of torque twist, a lot of strain in the lower back, and I don't know, I remember even the days of Freddie Couples and Jack and guys that had some reverse. They had back problems even with old equipment. So I get concerned about, the longevity aspect of it all, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's a legitimate 100% concern. And I've watched also players, get into bad habits because of, fitting in technology where if you launch at 3 degrees, we can get this launch angle where, and I'm like, I had taught a guy who was one of the best college players. And then, they started putting him on TrackMan all the time. And I mean, the guy could drive it up a gnat's ass, right? 285, 300 down the middle. And yeah, he was 1 or 2 down, right? But, we can pick up, whatever if we get the launch. Well, they got his launch, positive, and he couldn't hit it. He couldn't hit it in that bay behind him, right?
See, there you go. That's a good example.
And I think but I think that's, kind of going back to where we started about like technology. I mean, like, I think what's so brilliant about what you've done and what you believe is like you're teaching the person and, not pleasing a machine, right? And I think that's where, like, my warning to young players and young guys or girls coming up teaching is like, figure out what you think is important to help people get better and make people better. And then as they're getting better, start using technology and measure stuff to see if the shit you're having them do, they're really doing and works. But don't rely on it at first.
Well, Tony, one of the things that I see, and I try to teach all my young teachers, is I like, and I have moved people my whole life. I'll move them to feel things. I'll get them doing things against the wall. I'll get them doing step drills. I'm doing things that they're moving and feeling. And if they're not doing it, I'm going to move them. I'm going to create an extreme to make a point because we know the person's not going to change. And you look at the common golfer, especially, if you don't move them, I mean, they're clueless. And you can talk all day and stand there with your hands like that. You're not going to help the guy. I'm sorry. They don't understand half of what you're talking about anyway. And they're nodding their head. And it's like, if you really ask them, they can't answer. They have no idea what you said. So it's like, stop this, stop talking, get them moving, get them doing things that are right. And I'll give you a lot of credit. The bands and things that you use, I've seen you use. Hey, you're teaching feels and motions that words are worthless. You stop talking and start making them do those things. And I think you've had great success with your students because you're giving them things, you're making them move, and you're making them move correctly because they don't move correctly. We all know that. And then even arm-hand-wrist relationship, setting, cocking, uncocking, nobody even talks about that. The average guy goes back, bad hinge, throws it anyway, uncocks it early, scoopy at impact, club heads passing. Everybody's trying to teach forward lean. It's like, fix the other stuff. Let's fix the stuff that's creating that bad impact and give them drills and feels that'll give them some disciplines to, when you leave them, it gives them stuff to work on, and they go, oh my gosh, I really like that. It's like, it's got to be like that. And I don't see a lot of that maybe as much as I'd like to see with the younger guys or gals. I think it's really an asset to move a person, make them feel things for sure. It's not.
When I started using bands, it was because Colby Touye from their hit it greats down there at Doral.
Love them.
Great, right? But like, to me, it was so interesting because not only did it, but what it made it move, but it gave them a feel that then when they put the club in their hand, they could try to make their hip or their chest or their shoulder or whatever feel that way.
That's right.
And and to me, don't you think, like, I think great players play with it. Like, I think they know what their good, whatever their good is, feels like.
That's right.
And if we can give them something that helps them create what their good feels like, we got a chance to fix them a lot quicker. That's kind of why I started with that band. And when I started with that, Colby and I started with that, Rick, you know how it goes because you've done this a million times. Like, nobody was doing it. Now you turn on the damn Instagram and everybody and their brother at every resort is doing the shit thinking they got it.
Well, and the thing is, you were probably criticized for doing it.
Yep.
and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. The point is they find out that it's good. And the other thing is have an open mind and be creative as a teacher, leaving it wide open. It's like that's the beauty of teaching. I'm almost 70 years old. I mean, I'm still trying to be better at being creative to communicate to someone that, again, everybody learns differently. But the one thing for sure that the better and more creative we can become, we are going to help more people. And the magic bullet is help them faster. You know,
Right.
it's not a 12-month deal. I mean, like Steely, when I worked with Brendan or Jonathan now, it doesn't take very long. It's like it takes, like Steely, he's my 10-minute fix. It's like, and then he's got it and he goes, oh my gosh. And it's like the light goes back on again. But when you get to know a player when they're doing well, I always believe this too. It's like get your data when they're really good. Don't mess around with it. If it's bad, it's bad. Get it when it's good. So when you refer to it, they remember how good it is. Like Tyler McCumber, Mike, young guy that's, been
Yeah.
through three surgeries in 2 years. He's coming back in late November. He's going to start the tour again. He's been on a major medical. I go, buddy, we don't have to recreate anything. I know your body's changed, but here was when Canada, when you were 150 under par and dominated and probably was one of the better players in the world. We don't want to change that, So it's like I use reference points always when they're good, not when they're bad, And I say the same with gears. I do like 3D for when they're good. And then you've got the data points and like Phil would die to have his swing in 2004. Having said that, his body changes, everybody changes, but when things are working, I mean, from alignments, ball positions, different things that you're looking at dynamically that are in different places, shot patterns, different things that they get there quicker because their DNA is kind of like they're going to evolve and go back to the DNA that they've got, good or bad. So I like doing that too, Tony, for sure.
Jackson, you got any more questions?
No, I love all this. This is incredible.
You
Let's,
look so peaceful laid there. I swear, with
yeah,
the whole fade out of you, this is really
I had to
cool.
go horizontal because I understand what you're talking about longevity.
Oh, I mean, and that's the key. Like Rocco, I've worked with for almost 50 years. And we did right foot back drills so he could turn. His back was bad. I always made him go right. I know he worked with Jimmy a little bit, and I love Jimmy. But he would move to the right, move to the left. His club was cross the line, great for drawing the ball, which he loved to do. If anything, when I did right foot backs, I tried to get him hitting it straighter because he hooked it too much. So it was, get the hand path right, get the club on the right path. Like even this week, he finished 7th and he should have won the tournament. He got off to a bad start the last day. He was only 2 back, but we got real close to the ball so he wouldn't swing out so much, got his hands down lower so the club would work up better. And that helps his tilts because when you move side to side, you can get too horizontal with your plane. So hands down, he had the right tilts and the turn, and he striped it and he hit it really straight. And I told him beginning of the week, I said, let's hit a bunch of holds, let's hit some cuts, and it's just going to keep your draw more honest. And he really hit it good. And I said, you keep drawing and you overdraw, and it's not good for your swing. You're not going to play good. So I always like to kind of get the guys doing a little something that alters the pass so they don't go so far off the track, and move into a slump. So, again, he's played, he's pain-free being a little bit more vertical. He doesn't hit it as far as some of the guys, but, I don't care. I want him to play a long time. He's got another 20 years in him with that move that he's got. A lot less side bend, not torquing, not painful. And, I just tell him, if you want to hit it further, try to go to some longer clubs and lighter clubs and make sure your shaft's pretty stiff because he's kind of a wide throwy guy and he doesn't need something that's going to help him to get flex in the shaft. He needs stability, which we've gone through that too, So again, everybody's different,
Yeah, it's awesome. Man, these are great stories. Such good stories.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled parental leave for full and part-time baristas, giving them up to 18 weeks of paid time off, so they can be there for early bedtimes, late nights, first laughs, and spend more time with the best company they know. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start. Learn more about Starbucks industry-leading benefits at starbucks.com/partners.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
I mean, I don't need. We don't have too much more time because I know you got to get to your tarpon. But and I do have the name of the bait fish. Hold on, I'm gonna give that to you before I forget. I'll text it to you.
I mean, I'm turning around and they are rolling back there.
You need pinfish or pilchards. Pilchards from Juice.
Right. I'm
Juice,
down in
Captain Juice.
I'm down in Summerlin Key. I'm heading up to Doral late in the week. I got a few clients coming in. It's been raining and hot, as you know. But you'd say, Rick, why are you down in the Keys? I go, well, I get a breeze off the ocean. And it's actually, I've never done this in the winter, or I mean in the summer. And I plan on doing it. I plan on doing a lot of it. It's just beautiful. Beautiful down there.
When we talked about this, you and I are going to go tarpon fishing here in the next couple months.
Darn right we are.
And I think the Keys, not to get off of golf, we'll get back to golf in a second, but everybody says the same thing. They're like, oh, it's hot down there in the summer. It's one of the best times. There's wind off the water, breeze off the water, sitting out where you are on that dock. I mean, there's nothing better than being out there on that water. Jackson, you love tarpon fishing too.
Oh, yeah. Anything on the water.
Well, it's peaceful. Like we were just in Chicago for the Live event, Tony. And I mean, it was hotter there than it is here.
Yeah.
It was humid and hot. And it's like, I looked at you and we were in the practice round. I'm working with Steely and you're with Andy. And I'm going, is it me or this is Chicago, hot, humid, awful. You
did. We got off that one green and you go, shit, it's hot, man. We're like that. One last question for me, and then Jackson, you guys, like we talked about, there's a lot of that swing your own swing, let people swing their swing. And you talk about how everybody's different. When you have like a young person, right? A young player coming up, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, that you look at and they got a lot of speed and they got a lot of talent. How do you decipher between like, hey, this is just what they do versus, hey, we need to change this because long-term this is going to be better. To me, that's one of the harder parts. Like as I get older, you get better and better young players that come to you. And you'll have some kids and you're like, hey, this guy's a great athlete. This is kind of what he does. But then you get a guy and it's like, I mean, I know that's what he does, but I think if he keeps doing this, the ceiling's going to be lower for him. How do you make those decisions with players?
Well, I first find out what their miss is, and you can see it. Typically, I like to analyze the miss and say, because I'm a fan of the better player. I don't like the left miss at all, and they don't like it either. And I've always said I want you to be able to swing as hard as you can and know it's not going left, and yet it doesn't go 50 yards right either. So I look at release patterns. I look at face angles. Are they a shut guy that needs more knuckles up? i.e., do they have a strong grip? Do they get real bowed? So I look at compatible variations, what matchups are best. And then I decide, I go, wait a minute, that's not matching up. Their face is shut and they got too much face rotation. So we need better body rotation. We need a better sense of through impact feelings. And obviously the club's got to be on plane. And I'm not saying on the way back, but certainly on the way down, that thing, when you get 1.2 seconds, that thing's over before you know it. The club better be, evolving into a good space coming down and through impact. And again, I look beyond the impact. I look at post impact a lot, and it tells the story of the dynamics that are occurring through impact. And I've always said the post impact's an imprint of what's going on dynamically through impact. So I look at that pattern. Are they a flipper that's timing it? Like you could argue Phil had amazingly fast face rotation. His rotational speed with his forearms and hands and club were pretty much, even Ernie Els had that. So rates of rotation through impact and how that's compatible to face angles. If a guy's more open at the top, i.e. Rocco, he's going to have more face rotation. And if a guy's shut, he's going to look like he's got left face rotation through impact. But they're both okay. The key is what's best for that guy. And again, left misses, they're out. I hate the left miss and hate it. And I hated it when I played, and I don't like it with any good player that's coming down the stretch. And most of the holes, Pebble Beach, 18. You look at Players Championship, hole 18. Do you want to be flipping it and aiming down that, the right side of the trees or the rough line playing that hole? No, you don't. You don't. You don't want that. Because it may go in 2 fairways over to the right when they're off, or they flip it and it goes further in the lake on the left. So, path and face is king with the good players. And I think getting the club on plane and having reasonable impact conditions is great for the common golfer for sure. They're awful. They're just flat awful.
That's awesome. Jackson, anything?
Yeah. Where would you like to see instruction go in the next coming, decades?
Wow.
Well, be careful with complexities. Nobody really gives a hell about how much you know. They care about, and Jack said it to me 30 years ago. I don't care how that Rolex is built. I just want to know what time it is. Everybody feels that way. So I think get to the points where people can enjoy the game and realize that in 1.23 seconds, this thing's over. Good routines, movement. We got to speed the game up. The slow of the game is not standing there thinking of 20 different things. If anything, create a game that's more reactionary, it's more fun. They're making decent contact. They understand that they don't need to be swiping across it. They understand that they don't need to be way under the plane in a lot of this, shallow this, shallow that. Let's try to get the thing on plane. There are a lot of ways to do it. And if they can't with their body, modify their alignment, modify their stance, modify whatever you can do to make that player not have to go to school for 5 years just to enjoy the game. I think that's probably the most important thing at this point.
That's really good.
Rick, this has been fun as hell. This has been one of the most fun ones I've had. I've had a blast walking with you every time I get to walk with you. I promise you before the end of the year, me and you we're going fishing down there.
Well,
I've been texting Juice while we're doing this. I'm lining this up.
If I catch one tonight, you're coming in tomorrow.
Rick, you're a legend. You're the best. You're a great friend, great teacher. Appreciate you sitting in. We're going to do this some more. And Jackson, will you go fishing with me with him down there?
Yes.
I got an extra room here, a couple rooms. I got this till October 31st. I swear it's just, I go work hard and then I come back here and I feel like blood pressure goes down. I relax and I get my work done just like I'm with you guys now. This is fun for me. So it's good talking golf anytime you want.
Rick, you're the best. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
So are you, buddy. And you're doing great too. You keep up all that good work. And our man right there with his bad back, we got to get you healed, my man.
We're
going to. He's back. He'll be back soon. We'll
All
make
right.
a trip down to hang out at Doral.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro jeans.
You see what I did there, right?